Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith TB. It's time for News Central now. The top stories at this hour. Four dead as unidentified gunmen attack communities in Anambra State. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo calls for sack of INEC chairman. Sudan's RSF denies atrocities and claims commitment to peace. Details shortly. And let's begin by this hour by telling you that 4 people, including members of the Anambra State vigilante operatives, were killed on Monday when unidentified gunmen launched a deadly attack in Ukpo, Dunukufia local government area and Abatete, Idimili North local government area of Anambra State. Eyewitnesses reported that the assailants, suspected to be enforcing the Monday sit-at-home directive, stormed Abatete around 8:30 a.m., opening fire on residents. They then moved to the Ukpo roundabout, where they randomly fired at people, including vigilante operatives. The attackers also set ablaze several vehicles belonging to the vigilante group and fled the scene after the carnage. Security forces are yet to confirm the identities of the gunmen or their motives as investigations continue into the violent incident. The Anambra State Police Command has assured residents of intensified security measures to prevent future attacks and apprehend those responsible for the atrocity. Properties worth billions of naira have been razed down in a fire outbreak on Sunday night in Katako Market, Jos North local government area of Plateau State. At the time of filing this report, no one's claims to know the cause of the inferno, but personnel of the various security agencies in the state have been commended for their joint effort in putting out the fire. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe reports that no lives were lost, just as no injuries were recorded. However, victims of the disaster, which they regret is becoming a yearly incident, are asking for government support. The state governor, Caleb Mufwang, will be at the scene of the incident for an on-the-spot assessment. Joining us for more update is correspondent Chizoba Anyowe. She joins us to give us update. Chizoba, well done and good afternoon to you. We'll try to bring you that update in due course. In the meantime, we'll switch gears as the former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said that the level of corruption in the country has passed the alarming and entered the fatal stage. He said this in his keynote address on the topic Leadership Failure and State Capture in Nigeria, delivered at the Chinua Achebe Leadership Forum, Yale University, New Haven in the United States of America. Obasanjo hinted that corruption continues to rank among the most important problems affecting Nigerians. He insisted that the nation would continue to sink into chaos, insecurity, conflict, discord, division, disunity, depression, youth restiveness, confusion, violence, and underdevelopment as long as it is embedded in corruption. Obasanjo, however, gave a message of hope that all will be well with the country if the challenges of immorality and corruption are squarely addressed. And now to discuss this, we're joined by socio-political analyst and former coordinator, Middle Belt Forum, Zariyi Yusuf. Zari, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this. Let's get started. I mean, one has to ask at this point, is it structural? And if it is, what structural factors in Nigerian governance have contributed most significantly to the corruption level being described as fatal by the former President Obasanjo? Sari, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I think I missed the question. If you could just come again.
All right. I was asking about the structural factors that got us here in our Nigerian governance that have contributed most significantly to the corruption level that is now being described as fatal by the former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes, I think in his speech, he did mention something about state capture. Basically, that would mean the institutionalization of the ownership of key aspects of the economy by either those running the governments or their own cronies for selfish economic gain and all of that. Now, when that happens, now I must say that in all fairness, corruption is not exactly new to Nigeria. We understand corruption right from 1999 when Obasanjo himself came in. But because it was not institutionalized, because the government as at the time was government that could be said to be plagued with issues of corruption and it could be seen fighting it, it was an entirely different ballgame then. But in this scenario, it's more or less not just treating corruption with kid gloves, but it's more like institutionalizing it as a means. I don't really know if I would say a means of state capture, or it's the state capture that has turned it to become a normal practice. And I think he would refer to it as fatal because we are just at the edge of becoming a failed state by every practical indices, simply because a certain group of people believe that by all means they've gotten to power and by whatever means necessary, the primary focus is just to enrich themselves at the expense even of our own sovereignty as a state.
All right. At this point, when you paint that picture, it begs to ask about the political culture in Nigeria and whether or not it's influenced our tolerance for corruption, you know, and what systemic changes would you then recommend to shift the national mindset on this particular issue?
First of all, I must say that the mindset of especially the ruling class is such that when you have to basically engage in activities that one are criminal, are corrupt, and then just to get power, and then at the end of the day you have it, you will have to sustain it by the same means. So one way or the other, it has already become structural. And I think the best way to deal with that would be to make every political office or an appointment, whether elective or appointed, as non-palatable as possible, so that only people who have a mission basically to serve will get there. Otherwise, it will only keep getting worse. And when you get to the point where people get away with what they do, nobody punishes anybody, nobody pays for their crime, nobody suffers consequence for their action, then there is nothing you could basically do about it. But we must get to a point, we must come to a point where there is a Nigeria where people reap what they sow, where there is a Nigeria where first, it begins with the leadership, and I sincerely, I'm at a loss as how we will get to that point where they would have a leader with the willpower, you know, to make these offices less palatable. You know, where you just hang around, you know, the red or the green chamber, and you go home with tens of millions at the end of the month doing nothing. That will have to be dealt with. You know, so I think the less palatable those offices are, the less we engage in corrupt activities to get there, because basically at the end of the day, everybody wants to become a politician. They are the richest people now. They make money without any entrepreneurship, and it keeps getting worse.
You talked about us being on the brink of a failed state, and also former President Olusegun Obasanjo has also said we're at a fatal stage when it comes to our political narrative and political terrain. So what implications of that stage will it have, you know, just the implication of the fatal stage of corruption would it have on Nigeria's national security, particularly in relation to insurgencies, you know, armed conflicts and criminal organizations that we're seeing? I mean, before you came on, we're talking about Anambra State and the sit-at-home order and what it's done with extrajudicial killing with the vigilante group and the rest.
Yeah, so if one thing you would realize is that when we speak corruption, basically we're talking about allocation of a lot of resources that are diverted to other things other than what they were allocated, for, or allocated, to serve. And security is one aspect where people have basically made a very big enterprise out of. From the security agencies to basically the politicians that have the oversights of their functions. And it appears we are more interested in Nigeria in sustaining the process, in sustaining the insurgency, managing it in such a way that there is room for all of those things. And that's why I'm saying, while it may look like simple means of stealing money, basically there is something it is injecting into the fiber of the country and is weakening it. There are people at the receiving end of what's happening. When you come to the Middle Belt, there are people that suffer. There are Christian communities that suffer. When you go to the Northeast, there are people that have not lived in their homes for months and some for years. And I think Niger has about over 40,000 Nigerians as refugees. When you go to the Southeast, you find market women who just set out and have their children killed, or they get raped, or they get violated one way or the other. At a point in time, they may be forced to want to defend themselves. And basically that's when anarchy was set in. Because nobody, once you push people to the, survival mode, there is nothing else they have left to do. Nobody would look at the government anymore. And we hope we don't get there any time.
Zari, I must say thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you for doing this with us. Zari Yusuf is a social political analyst and former coordinator at Middle Belt Forum, just giving us a bit more insight on the former President Olusegun Obasanjo's speech at the leadership at the Chuna Achebe Leadership Forum, Yale University, United States of America. Once again, many thanks. And we switch gears back now to Jos, where we have Chizoba Aniowe on standby to give us the latest on the on the government intervention in Plateau State following the Katako fire outbreak. Chizoba, many thanks for joining us, and very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Judith, and thanks for having me.
What's the latest with the outbreak, the fire outbreak in Katako market?
Oh, well, if you can see behind me very well, it's a sorry situation. It's a very sad one. The traders around here went to bed last night hoping and believing that this morning they will come back to open shop and, of course, begin transaction for the day. Unfortunately, their sleep was cut short and they had to come in here late in the night. We're told around 12 a.m., 1 a.m., they were all here trying to see if they could save anything. But unfortunately, everything was lost to the flames. The various security agencies were on ground. Men of the fire service were also here. But unfortunately, before they could get here, what they could meet is just the debris that you can see behind me. And of course, the thick smoke still everywhere. You know, that's the sorry situation they have found themselves in at the moment. But speaking with them off camera, they feel very sad, actually. They feel sad. Some of them are even hopeless. That's the word. Some of them are just hopeless. But what they are asking is that government would come to their aid as soon as possible so that they will start their lives anew again. You know, that's just the situation. And hopefully, they are expecting that the state governor will be here. That is Caleb Mutfwang, will be here any moment from now. We are meant to understand that the advanced party is here on the ground. And that is to say that hopefully the governor will be here to see what has happened, you know, carry out an on-the-spot assessment, as it were, and be able to know what exactly to do after now. So that's the situation, actually.
All right. And what's the latest in terms of investigation? Do we now know the cause of the fire?
At the moment, no one can tell. That's the unfortunate situation. The fire service cannot tell, the police, nobody, not even the officials of the Katako market. They can't tell what the cause is at the moment. But they are hoping that investigation, of course, has started to ensure that they get to find the root cause of this fire outbreak, which has become like a yearly event, according to those that spoke off camera. You know, so after now, I'm sure in a few days to come, they'll be able to tell us what exactly caused this fire.
All right. Chizoba, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on. Chizoba Anionwe there live from Plateau State, just giving us an update on the Katako fire outbreak, as victims have recorded over 1 billion naira loss as they wait for Governor Caleb Mutfwang to inspect the site. We're going on a short break. When we come back, we talk election integrity, as the former President Olusegun Obasanjo is calling for the sack of INEC chairman. After the break, stay with us. You're welcome back. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called for a comprehensive overhaul of Nigeria's electoral process, emphasizing the urgent need for the dismissal of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, its chairman, and that's Mahmood Yakubu, and other officials at all levels. The former president of Nigeria made the call during his address at the prestigious Chinua Achebe Leadership Forum held at Yale University in the United States, where he presented a paper titled Leadership Failure and State Capture in Nigeria. Obasanjo minced no words in describing the 2023 general election as a travesty, underscoring the imperative for reforming the electoral process and system to restore credibility and trust. A key aspect of the reform, he argued, is the implementation of shorter tenures for INEC officials to prevent the undue influence of politics and corruption. And now to Ondo State, where Governor-elect and also Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa of Ondo State has assured citizens and residents of the state of his commitment to delivering on promises made ahead of the governorship election. This followed his announcement by Nigeria's electoral body as the winner of the poll, where he hit his closest rival, Agbola Ajayi of the People's Democratic Party, by over 240,000 votes. Amadin Uyi reports.
The collation process was watched by many across the state. At the Government House Banquet Hall, the 7 governors of Edo, Borno, Benue, Cross River, Ogun, Imo, and Lagos were in attendance, including national leaders of the All Progressives Congress. Following the announcement of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa as the winner of the election, polling over 366,000 votes to beat his closest rival from the People's Democratic Party, Agbola Ajayi, who polled 117,845 votes. The governor said the victory is an affirmation of his acceptance by the people.
366,000 plus votes against 100 and something. The actual figure I can't mention right now because I don't have the results, still with my agent. But from the announcement by the INEC that we watch on the TV, it's an overwhelming, result.
He says that his government will deliver on the expectations of residents of the state.
They should be the people should expect better service, and that's what they've been looking forward to. Because I campaigned across the entire 18 local government, the only candidate that went through or campaigned or traversed the entire 18 local government, not just the capital city of the local government, all communities, almost all the communities, we visited them, we see the roads.
Some others in attendance expressed their view of the entire process, leading to the victory of the governor.
This is one of the best elections INEC has ever conducted. Despite the teething challenges before the election, INEC has proved to us that it can conduct a free, fair, and credible election.
Yesterday, people of Ondo State have been jubilating, dancing, and right here you can see, even behind me, you can see the noise. So we need not even discuss that because it is so clear.
This is an expression of overwhelming love for the governor. It's an expression of confidence on the performance and the capability of the governor to deliver to the people of the state. Is a proof of his sterling character and behavior.
With elections now over, jubilations have erupted in several areas of the state. Many of the residents will be looking forward to receiving the dividends of good governance and democracy from the ruling party. In Ondo State for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Let's also tell you that the Ondo State of Progressives Congress has attributed the recent victory of Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa and the recently concluded governorship election to the ability of the party to unite its member. The state chairman of the party, while speaking to newsmen in the company of the governor, urged residents to trust the ability of the governor to deliver on his campaign promises, saying that he has been tested, trusted, and has acquired adequate experience on the job.
That is taking our party is well united, while the other party, our sister party, they were balkanized. In that, we went in and harvest the good leaders within their rank and file. We journey with our own. That is the success of our victory. The man that is taking over, he has learned the rope. He served his boss for 3 years as deputy. That is the learning process. Within this period, he has been in the saddle for 10 months. That 10 months plus the 3 years of service, when you combine the two together, for the next one that is coming, is going to be a brand new governor and efficient that has the capacity to deliver. So this state is going to be happy. This state is going to move ahead of other states.
Bola Tinubu has arrived in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, ahead of the 19th Heads of States and Government Summit of the Group of 20. He arrived at 11:03 p.m. local time on Sunday, and that's Monday at 3:03 a.m. Nigerian time, and was warmly received by Ambassador Breno Casta from Brazil's Ministry of External Relations. The president is accompanied by several key officials, including Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tungar, Minister of Livestock Development Idi Mukhtar Maiha, Minister of Art, Tourism and Culture, as well as Creativity Hannatu Musawa, Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security Dr. Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, and Ambassador Mohammed, who is the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency. Now, during the summit, President Tinubu is also expected to engage in bilateral meetings focused on advancing Nigeria's socio-economic reforms. And now to the energy sector. Dangote Refinery and the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, have finalized a deal to supply 60 million liters of premium motor spirits, PMS, weekly. IPMAN spokesperson Chinedu Ukadike confirmed the agreement on Sunday, revealing that petrol prices at member stations have dropped by 10 naira to 50 naira nationwide due to the arrangement. The supply deal, first announced on November 11th, aims to enhance direct petrol distribution, fostering competition and stabilizing prices in the deregulated oil sector. Ukadike said Dangote has agreed to supply over 60 million liters weekly, which they will distribute nationwide. He adds that competition has already led to noticeable price reductions. Now, the partnership is expected to ease fuel availability and stabilize costs across the country. Away from that, lawmakers from the Nasarawa State House of Assembly say they are determined to pass the Youth Development Bill, which is already on the floor of the State House of Assembly. They say the bill, which seeks to establish a Youth Development Commission for the state, will address teething concerns affecting the youth in the state and solve challenges of unemployment, lack of inclusion in governance, among others. Our correspondent Joshua Marai reports.
1 minute.
It was a policy roundtable with lawmakers from the Nasarawa State House of Assembly. The session x-rayed the passage of the Youth Development Bill already on the floor of the House for the creation of a Youth Development Commission. Lawmakers say the bill intends to resolve concerns being raised by youths in the state with an aim at addressing their challenges.
When a youth is hungry, he becomes so hostile. When a youth is hungry, he becomes so violent. An example can be traced to what happened to bad governance and other demonstrations that took place. 90% or 98% of participants that took place in that demonstration were youth. We intend to create employment opportunities, enhance educational access, promote sports and health, encourage civic engagement, and support youth innovations. As we move forward, I call upon each of you, government officials, civil society, and community leaders, to lend your support to this crucial initiative.
The country director of the Action Aid Nigeria commended the initiative, saying the commission will help resolve worries by youth. Representative of Youth President said the commission, when created, will place them at the centerpiece of government's program.
The young persons play a critical role, and that for us, this bill will be able to define all of that and be able to have clear actions and support mechanisms for those to be established. It's not just another commission. I think we should note that. It's not just another commission, but it's a commission that is strategic, and if well harnessed, the young persons will be able to improve themselves, improve their society, their family, and the states. And there I say, of course, the country at large.
I'm super excited because the Nasarawa youth will now have a commission on their own. They will have a place whereby the programs and activities of the youth will be superheaded by the youth himself in Nasarawa State, not by the stakeholder.
We are very sure and very optimistic that if this bill passes into law, it's going to be handled very well. As I know who is our governor, I know the passion he has for the development of young people in Nasarawa State. And to us, this bill will just be like an added advantage to his strive to ensure that youth are placed in the right way.
The Youth Development Bill, when passed by the State House of Assembly, will empower the State Youth Development Commission to focus on empowering the youths in the state. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
The Nigeria's House of Representatives has expressed worry over the progress of work being done at the construction of about 250 housing units of the Renewed Hope Estate in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. This was as the chairman of the House Committee on Urban Development and Regional Planning led lawmakers on an oversight visit to inspect the project in the state. He says that there is a need to engage competent contractors to ensure timely completion of the project while criticizing the quality of work seen on ground. The committee also expressed concern over the poor quality of work being done in the Umo Ituk Spencer Esin Slum Upgrade Road network in Oron, also in the state. The Federal Ministry of Works has assured contractors involved in the rehabilitation of major roads in the northwest region of the country of government's commitment to resolving any challenges affecting their work. The director of the Federal Highways at the Ministry of Works during an inspection visit to Kaduna State to assess the status of several ongoing road projects says that once completed, the projects will alleviate traffic congestion, enhance economic activities, and improve connectivity between the northern and southern regions of the country.
From what we expected the contractor to do, they have been following the standard and the specification. We have a very competent controller, engineers representative who is and his team. They are trying, supervising the contractor. We know the contractor is very competent, and what they are doing is totally very...
You're watching News Central now on News Central Television. I am Judith TV. Still to come. Sudan's RSF denies rights violations, claims commitment to peace. We'll bring you the details after this break. Stay with us. The news continues still on the African continent, but this time to Senegal. Its ruling party has secured a decisive victory in Sunday's legislative elections. Government spokesperson Amadou Mustafa Sarri told journalists that with 90 to 95% of the results, the party is confident of a large victory. Sarri praised the Senegalese people for their overwhelming support of the party, led by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. This election is pivotal for the government to advance its reform agenda following a period of political tension and economic challenges Official results are expected soon. And now to Sudan, where its paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, accused of widespread atrocities in their ongoing 19-month conflict with the army, have denied responsibility for violations and reiterated their commitment to peace. Addressing journalists in Nairobi, Kenya, the head of the RSF delegation, General Omar Hamda Hamed, refuted allegations of receiving weapons from the United Arab Emirates. He also accused Egypt of providing extensive support to the Sudanese army, including conducting airstrikes, a claim that Cairo has denied. Sudan has been engulfed in a war since April 2023, with the RSF led by General Mohammed Amda Dangalo clashing with the army under General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. Now, both factions have been accused of war crimes, including targeting civilians, shelling residential areas, and obstructing or looting humanitarian aid. And meanwhile, the United Kingdom has pledged £113 million in, or rather, I take that again, that's 113 million euros in humanitarian aid to support over 1 million people affected by the war in Sudan, doubling its previous commitment. Now, the funding will assist 600,000 people within Sudan and 700,000 refugees in neighboring countries, providing food, shelter, and education. Foreign Secretary David Lammy condemned the suffering caused by the conflict, urging the Sudanese armed forces to keep the Andre border crossing open for aid. Fighting between Sudan's army and the Rapid Support Forces, ongoing since April 2023, has left millions at risk of starvation. The new package will support UN and NGO efforts to deliver vital assistance, with Lammy reaffirming the UK's commitment to aiding Sudan. You're still watching News Central Television. Still ahead on the news at this hour. Russian missile hits emergency crew at aid town in Ukraine. We'll bring you details after this break. Join us again. Ukrainian emergency teams have responded to Sumy in the country's northeast after a Russian missile strike killed at least 8 people, including a child, according to the regional prosecutor's office. 10 residents have been wounded, and at least 10 multi-story buildings in a residential area have been damaged. The attack follows a massive assault across Ukraine the previous night. Emergency workers have been assisting with rescue efforts and assessing the damage in the aftermath. The strike has added to the ongoing toll of civilian casualties and infrastructure destruction in Ukraine's conflict. Local officials have, however, condemned the attack, urging increased support from international allies as the region copes with the devastation. Sumy has faced repeated shelling since the conflict began. For more on this, I'm being joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Afia, tell us, why was this decision, why the decision at this stage in this war?
Yes, Judith, and the decision that you're talking about is about the escalation that has been made, and that is the United States allowing the Ukraine to use its long-range missiles to hit targets within Russia. So this was the U.S. long-range Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, and the Ukraine has been using it for more than a year in defensive positions, but now the U.S. has said that the Ukraine can use these missiles to hit particular targets within Russia. Now, this is something that the Ukraine have been asking for a while, to be able to use the US missiles to be able to do this, and Washington has been very slow in giving the go-ahead. Now, that go-ahead was given by President Joe Biden just upon his arrival at the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro. He gave the go-ahead that the missiles can be used for that. And that was seen as a response to the fact that Russia are using North Korean troops and have been using North Korean troops in the Kursk region of Russia for quite a while now. Now, in June, North Korea and Russia actually signed a treaty, a defense treaty, which meant that they would act in each other's favor if they were attacked. And that's what North Korea are doing. So they are working on behalf of Russia. North Korean troops are fighting on behalf of Russia. That was seen as an escalation. And so therefore, the US gave the go-ahead for the Ukraine to be able to use these tactical missiles to hit targets deep within Russia.
And what has been the reaction from Putin to this escalation so far?
Well, we haven't had any reaction from Vladimir Putin himself, but what we have had is reaction from people around him. Now, a website of a Russian government newspaper said departing US President Joe Biden has taken one of the most provocative, uncalculated decisions of his administration, which risks catastrophic consequences. Other MPs have said that this will inevitably lead to serious escalation, threatening serious consequences. It's an unprecedented step towards World War III. And other people saying that essentially Washington has just poured fuel on the fire of this war. Now, like I said, we haven't had any reaction from Vladimir Putin as yet. And it's kind of unpredictable about how he will react to this. But this is thought to be a way of, number one, for the Biden administration and Washington to be able to bolster the Ukraine as much as they can before a change of administration to the administration of President-elect Donald Trump in January, which may have a different position on the Ukraine-Russia war. We have heard that Donald Trump said he could end the war in 24 hours. He hasn't laid out the nuts and bolts of how he will do that. But if Ukraine are being shored up in the way they are now, if they can perhaps gain some ground back, if there are ceasefire talks on the way, perhaps Ukraine will be in a better position when those talks come about.
I mean, Afia, we're head to a very, very interesting 4 years, I would say. I mean, how significant a moment is this in the Ukraine-Russia conflict?
Yeah, I mean, we're about 1,000 days into the conflict at the moment, and this is a significant moment in the war. Like I said, the Ukraine have been asking for months to be able to use these missiles in this way to hit these deep targets. Now, the US has given that go-ahead, and this could be seen by Russia as a major escalation, that in fact, you know, the US-made missiles and NATO forces are getting involved in this war. Like I said, I think this is all about tactical positioning at the moment, and that it's important that the Ukraine can shore themselves up. I think also we can expect perhaps an assault within days from Russian forces, bolstered by those North Korean troops as well, as a retaliation to these missiles being used and these missiles being fired. But this green light from Washington and from the allies to be able to use these missiles deep within Russia definitely is an escalation. And absolutely, it is a significant moment in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Significant moment indeed. Afia, many thanks for doing this with us. Afia is our international correspondent, just giving us a bit of more insight regarding the escalation as it pertains to the Ukraine and Russia war. The nation continues to face challenges, with rising food prices further intensified by the devaluation of the naira, high fuel costs, and recent flooding in agricultural areas. In October, Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, assured citizens that the country was on the path to recovery, stating that government policies were effective. Inflation had peaked and economic stability was on the horizon. But currently, inflation stands at 33.88%, with the naira trading at 1,740 naira to the dollar. On Business Edge, our guest, Sukomi Odede, Associate Director of Infrastructure at KPMG West Africa, shared his insights on whether the inflation figure should have exceeded 33% based on current policy focus. Take a look.
Based off of some of the facts that he had seen. But when you look at the fundamentals of what is driving Nigeria's inflation, I think you alluded to some of them, which is around food inflation is a critical bit. And unfortunately, we've had issues around supply disruption when it comes to food. High energy prices. You also alluded to the fact that petrol prices have increased about 2 to 3 times alone already this year. Given that we are an import-dependent economy, our FX, devaluation of FX of Naira to the dollar is also an issue. So those are things that are still fundamentally driving the increase in inflation. I would rather say that I was actually surprised that it's not even higher than what was currently reported, but because the fundamentals have not really changed. To address some of the fundamentals I spoke about, we spoke about the exchange rates, and this is one of the key things driving
Football fans are buzzing with optimism as the Super Eagles prepare to face Rwanda in their final 2025 AFCON qualifiers clash in Uyo, Akwa on Monday today. Supporters are eager to see non-regulars given a chance to shine, believing this is an opportunity to expand the team's depth and talent pool. While the Super Eagles have already secured qualification, the match offers a chance to test new strategies and evaluate emerging stars. The Super Eagles are top of Group D with 11 points. Nigeria will tackle Rwanda at 5 p.m. local time.
The quality of the Super Eagles, I think we should beat Rwanda. I know that last time we faced them, it was tough, but we should get the result.
I'm not really, see, for that, to me, it's a dead rubber game. So that's Rwandan game is a dead. What I want the coaches to do is to experiment. If I might even suggest, if they have that chance, they should just. We have a CHAN qualifier against Ghana. Me, I would have loved they play the home base for that match since it's just a dead rubber game. So. The Rwanda game is nothing at stake. They're already in Morocco already, so they've qualified. So I'm not looking forward to it. I might not even watch it, not because they won't play well, but because they've gotten the results. They've qualified for the African.
Ghana's coach, Otto Addo, has finally addressed calls for his dismissal following Black Stars' failure to qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON tournament. The Black Stars' hopes of playing at the tournament in Morocco next year were dashed after drawing 1-1 with Angola on Friday. Following the team's failure to qualify, the former Borussia Dortmund trainer Scout has faced mounting criticism, with several fans calling for his dismissal. Ghana have failed to claim a single victory across 5 rounds of games, which has left them at the 4th spot in Group F with 3 points, finding the net only twice. In response to his detractors, Addo pointed to his extensive experience under renowned coaches, including former Liverpool coach Jurgen Klopp and Matthias Sommer, formerly with Dortmund, highlighting the caliber of mentorship he has already received.
It's not my nature, you know. People can judge me, and surely most of the people will judge me by the results, which were not good. But I have friends, I have mentors, I don't know if you know, but I trained under Matthias Sommer, I was trained under Klopp, I was trained, I was assistant to Edin Terzic, who was the Dortmund head coach, and surely we exchange. And for me, this is relevant. You know, if they say this or that, and they also.
Well, that's quite an impressive resume, but he still didn't clinch the ticket for his country. Well, that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. 4 persons have been killed as unidentified gunmen attacked communities in Anambra State. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called for sack of INEC chairman. And we also told you that Sudan's RSF has denied atrocities, claimed commitment to peace. Now remember that you can watch News Central TV live on DSTV channel 422 We're also on Star Times at channel 274. You can find us on Avo TV, or better yet, just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.